we're at really the vanguard of something new and cool for our industry. And certainly as an agency, looking for that easy button, we're very much on board and we're early adopters. And so I'm going to talk a little bit today about our experience as an agency, what we've learned. I'll reinforce some of what Karaz has said in terms of guidelines and things like that, but just give you an overview of what it is we do and how we're using AI. So gotta use two advances here. So this is what Show and Tell wants you to know about AI. What I'm going to cover, what is it, what it's not, just a little bit of a different take than Karaz. Frameworks, actually, so use cases that you might want to build when you're talking to your boss about, hey, I want to use AI. So we can give you some frameworks to think about that. What is Show and Tell using it for? How are we deploying it today? And then touch back on powerful tools need rules. And then again, garbage in and garbage out. So, what AI is not? It is not Skynet. At least for now, AI is science fiction. And everybody here, relax. As of today, right now, AI cannot generate its own original ideas. It did not write the first prompt. So all the copywriters and designers in the room, you're safe for now. So what is AI? So I think we just need to think about it and narrow it down. So first off, it's an umbrella term that describes machines that can think and solve problems in ways that humans can. And then you kind of have the subset of AI, which you covered, Karaz, which is generative AI, which is the tools that can create text, images, audio, and video. And then you step down to sort of a smaller subset of it, which is the large language model, which is when you're having conversations or chatbots. And then lastly, ChatGPT.
The Turing test. How many people saw The Imitation Game? So Alan Turing is one of the fathers of computing, and basically they could see that this was coming. And so the Turing test is an AI sentient or can it think for itself? And so how they've basically determined this is the Turing test is, can a number of experts have a conversation with something and detect whether it's a computer or not? And the computer has passed this as of last year. So in Reading, England, they set up an AI that pretended to be a 13-year-old Ukrainian boy, and they could not tell that it was a computer. So that is here and now. So, hang on. So just jumping around a bit. In general terms, AI is a tool for prospects and customers. That's how we use it. And I think it's really important as marketers right now to understand that there is a massive shift underway right now where we're moving away from search engines to answer engines. And so if you think about it as a user using like a Google search, what a terrible user experience. You go in, you type in your query, and you get 10 blue links, and you have to decide which of them you might want to go to. And then you still have to go to the website and try and find the answer. Whereas here, I can type in something like, what does Kamet do? And get an fascinating or stuck on something and just need a bit of a kick in the pants. And I will crank up an instance of ChatGPT, throw some queries, get a good foundation to get started. And then analysis. It's an unbelievably powerful tool at taking massive amounts of data and giving you something cogent back. And so I can share at Show and Tell, we have more than 15 years of ERP and CRM data, and we've built our own AI on top of that because we know that the data is trustworthy and has been vetted, and we're able to now create a tool where our junior AMs or anyone in the agency can go, oh, I need to do an estimate for 5 pillar fascinators in full color. What are the steps and what would the price be? The answer comes out. Amazingly powerful and useful tool. So what are we using it for? Sorry, right there. here's just some of the things that are vetted and being used by Show and Tell today. So first off, Azure AI Studio. This is where we're actually doing the super cool stuff, which is building custom AI applications for our clients. And it's sandboxed. So that's one of the big things that Karaz was talking about. We've gone through, vetted, read the fine print, and we can trust that we can feed it and turn it loose on our data and train the AI up. So we're using that. Adobe Performance Max, probably a number of you in the room are using it. What it's great for is rapidly iterating and testing our digital campaigns to get to the best outcomes faster. Chat GPT, which probably most people are using, that's kind of, like I said, my sidekick. Adobe Firefly is awesome. What a great time saver. Instead of going through hundreds of stock images, I just feed it a prompt to get the image that I'm looking for and then build my mock-up from there. We actually have something that we put in for the CAMA Awards. The cover is actually AI generated. Opus Clip. This is a really cool tool for loading in videos that you've created, and it can actually use AI to tell you what might be the most viral aspects of that video and help you editing it down. Really good tool. Fireflies, that's the product name. I just call it Jarvis. Basically, it comes to all my meetings and does all my transcriptions and summaries. Insanely useful. What a great tool. And then lastly, for the young guns at the agency, they love Claude. I don't use it much, but they call him the OG of the sea. And they're using it for many things, but one of the really cool things I've seen them use it for is low fidelity code development. So we've actually gone in and said, hey, using this template from Theme Forest, I need to create a 10-page, e-commerce site for this product. Beep, bang, boom, code. Absolutely amazing. What a time saver. So this is what we're using. This is what's vetted. I encourage you. This is not secrets. We all have access to it. Make sure you get the paid version. Don't get the free version because, as Kraz said, you're loading things that are proprietary possibly up into the cloud that it can learn from. So you have to get those pro versions, and that's where it gets really expensive really fast because how many tools do I have on here? That's like $20 a month per user per app. And so that really raises the next thing, which is it's super fragmented right now. So there's all these different tools. If I was a betting person, it will all collapse into a platform eventually. I just don't know who the winners are going to be right now. But for those of us who are of a certain age that might remember Aldus PageMaker and CorelDRAW and Aldus Freehand, all these tools that we used to use, they all lost. And it's just Adobe Creative Suite. And I think that will happen in AI as well eventually in our industry, that it'll just get collapsed under one roof or one platform. So here's some real examples of prompts that we're using. I thought, hey, why don't we just show what we're doing? So use case 1, AI excels in processing large amounts of text to extract key insights or summarize main points. So here's the prompt. I am preparing a marketing report. Please help me analyze the attached report. Summarize the key trends, emerging market shifts, and potential challenges. Focus your answer on the North American market. My audience consists of digital marketers working in the agriculture sector in North America. Provide me with references and page numbers from the report to back up your answer. Format the answer using bullet points and markup headers. Use a professional tone.
Yeah, Marcus.
Right. Absolutely incredible what you get. And again, when you're stuck and you just can't get started because you're overwhelmed with how big it is, this is just a great first draft. Next one, brainstorming. Now, you said something, Kraz, that I thought was interesting is you using AI to generate ideas. You can do it to generate bad ideas. So here's one that we did. Once you have a topic, AI can help generate a structured outline providing main points and potential subtopics to cover. But here's something a little bit different. Let me just see. That's outlines. Oh, I'm brainstorming. Sorry. Go to sync. There we go. So here's the prompt. Because it's trained on the collective sort of zeitgeist of what's happening in the internet today, and an interesting side effect is the visualization of cliche. So, and that can be in images and videos. So this quirk matters because it can help you avoid some of those biases and overused topics and blind spots that Karaz was talking about. So here's a prompt. I am working on a social media content schedule. Please generate a list of 5 ideas that are overused based on the following information. Industry equals agriculture, audience equals farmers, my product equals seeds, content goals are brand awareness. So this will now tell you what not to do in terms of something that's been done before. So if you're kind of clever with your prompts, you can actually get that no-go sort of state that you were talking about, Kraz. Okay, assisting with outlines. So use AI to generate a structured outline for a blog article or a post. So once you kind of have your topic, here's another prompt. So you can get a structured outline that'll give you some main points and some potential subtopics. So here's the prompt. I am writing a 500-word blog article about the state of digital marketing in the agriculture sector. Help me write a detailed outline that includes 3 to 5 main sections and suggestions for a call to action. The target audience consists of digital marketers working in the agriculture business. Please use an informative yet conversational tone. Structure the outline in a clear format using headings and subheadings. Pretty amazing stuff, really. So I think you can start to sense, though, that the real value of this and the real use is becoming an expert at writing prompts and having a conversation with a computer just like it's a person. Next one, assisting with editing. We have some folks at our agency that have some blind spots in the writing. They tend to write a little angry, Matt Carvello, behind the camera there. So it's a great tool for people who struggle with grammar and spelling and things like that. So again, it's just such a great sidekick for you. So here's the prompt. Please provide a critique of the following draft of a blog post. In your critique, focus on ways that I can improve the content and structure, language and grammar, and support elements. Use constructive suggestions for improvement. Format your answer using bullet points and markup headers. So we would have loaded one of our own agency articles up into this. That's the actual blog post that we're asking it to take a look at. So again, incredibly powerful. One of those things that I would say we just tend to forget to do, I don't know why, but is proof our own stuff, and we're the worst at proofing our own things. So fire up your AI and have it help you with that. And then we see next one. Breaking down complex and new concepts. I really like this one. This is really cool. So we tend to think of AI in the context of it just does text, but we can also help it with workflows and visualizations. So this one is really fun. So you can use AI to break down complex topics to facilitate understanding in a cross-functional team. It can help explain marketing jargon to folks in sales, product development, programming. And when you're collaborating with web developers or data analysts, you can use Gen AI to translate technical terms into non-technical, easier to follow examples. So we fed something into it, and let's see, there it goes. So there's the prompt. It's thinking away, and boom, workflow or a diagram that you could basically use as something as a foundation for pulling into Illustrator and creating an actual infographic. So there's just some real world examples. All the names have been changed to protect the innocent, but we're definitely using it a lot. So powerful tools need rules. So I'm going to reinforce what Karaz said. So number one, trust then verify. Do not, unless you are a subject matter expert, just put whatever it is you get back out into the ether. It will come back and bite you. And I've got a great story I can tell around that. I was doing some work for a healthcare company, and I was trying to figure out an example of a YouTube vlogger that was like the best, had the best audience and the most followers and engagement in the insomnia space. And I wait my 5 seconds and I get this incredible answer back. I'm like, holy cow, I'm just going to copy and paste this right into my PowerPoint. And I thought, trust then verify. Well, lo and behold, hallucination. It didn't even exist. The YouTube channel was completely fictitious. And so I really, really encourage you to vet and test your work. Use the AIs, I would say, that actually cite their sources. I prefer that over just, a text answer. Next one is don't misrepresent your work. Be honest with your clients. Tell them that you're using it, how much you're using it, and why. Because they want to know whether what it is that you're giving them is actually original or not, because, again, Karaz, of the risk that they're taking on by just taking the work that you do. So you want to disclose that you are using it and that you have trust and verified the work and that it is, in fact, can be proven in a court of law effectively to be original content. And the last one, maintain confidentiality. So that's a biggie again. Understand that if you're using the free versions of an AI tool, you are likely feeding the beast. You could be putting very confidential information into the public domain, and that is a bad day for your customers, especially when you're under a non-disclosure agreement. So if you're going to use AI for that, make sure you read the small print to understand what is happening. Most of the pro versions of things will create sandboxes, but I would just encourage everybody to take a long, hard, deep look at whether what you're getting is going to be confidential and not being basically open sourced into all of these machines, where what you're putting in there becomes part of the future answers. So last, just a little bit, you said it, garbage in, garbage out. So the writing of prompts is an absolute must. So AI outputs are only as good as AI inputs. And so just here, if you want to take a picture of that, that's kind of how we've taught our staff. This is the framework. So an expert prompt has these elements. So it has a task, which is really mandatory. You have to tell it what you want it to do. Context, which is setting up the constraints for the ask. And examples are really useful. It's like, I want it to be like this. Format is like, how do I want it back? Bullet points, or how I want it structured, H1, H2 tags, things like that. And then tone, which is a desired writing style, which the tone I usually use is in the style of Harvard Business Review. Please give me blah, blah, blah. So it's a really If you don't get anything from this, this is a great little framework that you can all use just to make sure that when you're writing prompts, it has these elements. So I'll leave you with this. It's not coming, it's here. If you don't get with the program and indoctrinate into your processes, you're probably going to fall behind because your competitors will be out there using it and they'll be able to do things faster and cheaper. And so it's just a great, easy button. It has real potential to enhance your marketing strategy and tactics. And I would encourage everybody to consider how these different tools might benefit your business. I'm certainly happy to share more of our experience because we've been doing it for so long, but just don't let your competition get ahead on you. And our team can help anybody in here on your AI journey. So we have a pretty good handle on what are the right tools and what are some of the landmines, and help you make sure that you're ready for this next big shift. And that's it.
Thank you, Kraz and Marty, for some impactful conversations. I like that you laid out the risks in the first half, although it was quite doom and gloom. You gave us some great tips on how to mitigate the risks. I do think kind of this AI policy and framework in organizations is going to be the next big topic, if it isn't already, in companies. And Marty, I think you did a lot of good information on how to use it. I think it's quite practical. I like the framework as I took a picture. Okay, so we have about 20 minutes for questions. I have the microphone here, but I would invite you two to come back up. If you have a question, I can bring you the microphone or just stand up and ask for the group here. I know it's a big topic. And maybe I'll start off with one. I know when it comes to AI, a lot of the conversation has been just put a disclaimer. Like this has been used, or AI was used to generate this content or those pieces, especially for the in-house marketer that's creating content. But I don't see any of that in the wild. Is that kind of come and gone now, that AI is super integrated into everything that we do? Or is it the whole piece that makes sure that it's so far from what it was generated from a platform that a disclaimer shouldn't be needed? Can you guys speak to that?
Good question.
So I'll do my best because it is really, we're on the vanguard. So lots of things we're building the airplane while we're flying it. Obviously our plan and how we're acting or using it is to disclose when and where and how we're doing that. We don't want to misrepresent our work as being 100% original if it's not. So we want to, we don't want to be original-ish. So it's a disclosure to our clients. In terms of disclosing to the public, going back, I think, to the criteria that you laid out, does it pass the test? Is it original enough? Then I don't think you need to have a disclaimer. But obviously, I think lots of us are on the gram. You can see that they are flagging things as AI generated. So there is a lot to be concerned about in that context. And I think if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, the thing that scares me on a more macro level is the proliferation of AI generated content that could be wrong, that's on the internet, that's being used to train the AI. That's terrifying.
Yeah. I'll just add, building off of what Marty said, the use of disclaimers, your clients may not want to use them if you and they have done the assessment and determined that it's original enough, like Marty was saying, that it could be used with no disclaimer. The flip side of that is merely using a disclaimer doesn't remove all the risks that we talked about earlier. Just because you say it's generated by AI and then you copy and paste the New York Times article doesn't mean you're not potentially liable for copyright infringement. So it's not a get out of jail free card. So I would avoid using it in that way.
Any other questions from the floor? Yeah.
I can ask it out loud.
Sure.
the standard for defensibility, like on creating a novel piece of like artwork or something like that, when he talked about where is that standard and what's the minimums that you have to live by? Would you have to have creatives logging the amount of time they spent, the details in terms of prompts, the log sheets and things like that, in case you're in court, you have this paper trail? Is that something that's going to be a reality?
I mean, that's definitely the ideal situation, but practically nobody's going to be logging in every prompt they tried and the whole conversation they had with the AI. The idea is to, as much as possible, keep a record of what you're doing, and be able to show that there was, like the Supreme Court wants, skill and judgment, that there was a level of skill and judgment, and that standard isn't very high. Like, it doesn't require a lot of skill and a lot of judgment for every output. It's a low threshold, but you just need to show that it wasn't a mechanical process that the AI just did. And at the same time, you want to make sure, again, going back to, you're not copying anyone else's material.
And I would just say at our shop, there's two things. One is if you're using an AI, it does keep track of your prompts. So there is a, let's call it a breadcrumb trail for that. And then at our shop, everyone's accountable for their time. And so we have timesheets and you have to actually put in what you did. So there is that as well. But I would say that in general, the people that work at Show and Tell have a lot of pride in what they do. So they're using it as a stimulus, but not as the end output. So even the Enogen seed cover that I know we did in AI, we probably spent another 40 hours making the image perfect, and then verified that it was not a copy of anything. So for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's all the cattle that are on that. So Enogen is a feed that's for cattle. It's an energy efficient feed, and the dairy and the beef cattle that are in that are all started as AI generations. So because we just, it's hard to get out into the field or a barn and find cows that aren't covered in poop.
Any other questions from the floor?
Kelly? I'll ask a question. First of all, thank you, Emma. Thank you, Squisha, for the CNN today. Thank you to Shirley for this topic. Ross, Marty, thank you for bringing your expertise to the table. So, my question leans into AI policy. So, Marty, appreciate you offering that it's really important to disclose when AI is being used. And I think as clients, we really appreciate knowing of those people in the room that are clients. We've all wondered, she is just done by AI. Not telling you secrets at school, but that question does come into our minds. So, so I would agree with you. It's really important for clients to know when those tools are being used, and great tools that are at your fingertips to be able to generate new ideas, efficiently use their time, all of those things. My question is more around AI policy and clients and vendors working together. So I know there were a lot of analysts that went up and said, yeah, we'll bring in AI policy or have AI policies in place. And probably on the agency side, you're leading that more than the client side. But do you have any experiences, either you talking about when clients and vendors have AI policies that might not fully line up, how do you negotiate through that? So just curious. And also just that ability to come to the table and talk about, okay, this is our policy, this is your policy. Do they in fact work together? Because I think as clients, we're probably going to be moving down that step as well, all of us. And we need to find some alignment there and ability to work together to protect client data, but also to be able to use these creative tools that we have in place. Good question.
Great question, Kelly. And I think there's a little bit of inside baseball here in that
we disclosed that we were using those tools with CCGA, and I actually sent a copy of our policy to Kelly some time ago. So there's radical transparency actually, and I think that's the best and first place to start is be proactive. If you're going to use it, just come clean and say, just put in front of everybody here all the tools that we're using. So that's full disclosure, and tell people what you're using it for and why you use it. And I think that there's a real comfort then that we're going to do our best through our policy and educating our staff to not put you in harm's way from a legal standpoint, but also make sure that there's alignment on the value that we're delivering to you as well. So that, this is the conflict between vendors and clients and agencies is, man, you guys are expensive. And, meanwhile, we're off like generating stuff with AI and getting it done. And, you can see how fast it happens, in 10 seconds and charging $10,000 for it. I think that's another point of pain, I think, that we're going to encounter really quickly. So that's why that disclosure is important, and the being honest about it and making sure that you're charging fairly as an agency when you're using those tools to expedite the work that you're providing.
And a good time and way to deal with having these discussions is right at the beginning of the professional relationship when you're drafting and negotiating the contract. So I have clients who have started to undergo changes to their template contracts to include their use of AI and how they use it, what they use it for. And this, at the most basic level, sparks a conversation between the vendor and their customers about the fact that AI is being used, and then the customers can ask more questions about how it's going to be used, and they can lay out their concerns on the table and negotiate what it is they want or don't want, and then decide if they want to proceed with that business relationship or not. So I find that the best time to deal with it, at least in my experience with my clients, is that is to do that right at the outset. And even if both parties are willing to include that as part of the contract, not just exchange documents and have just a good discussion about it, but really put it in on paper and really live by it throughout the course of the business relationship.
Thanks. Any other questions? I just have one more on my list too. So as we have a lawyer and an agency owner here in front of us, what type of questions should we be asking our agencies, Carlos, and also Marty from your perspective? But are there questions that we should bring to the table when we start working with the marketing agency in terms of AI?
I think important questions like what AI are you using? Is it something that you've built in-house, something that you're licensing from someone else? Who owns the data that goes into it? Is that data being used to train the AI tool for other customers? Like, how is the data being used? Where is it being stored? Where is it going? Because there are a lot of privacy law implications there. And particularly if your clients aren't just based in Canada or Manitoba, then you're engaging privacy laws of other countries, and there's going to be implications and discussions that you have to have about how the data is being used. So that's one important thing. The other is if it's not built in-house, you have to understand who owns the AI tool and how the company that owns that AI tool is getting access to the data, whether they're even allowed to look at the data that your vendor is putting in or using, and how they're protecting it. So those are two important things that I think everybody should be asking.
Yeah, and I think I'd vector at it maybe a little differently. I would say that we're taking it as serious as a heart attack. So we were very quick with our AI policy. It is in everybody's employee handbook, and stepping outside of the guidelines is actually a dismissible offense at our company. So we've taken it very seriously.
Thank you. Last call. Any final questions for the group here? Okay, well, that will conclude the event. I want to thank everybody again for taking the time out of your day to join us. I thought this was a fantastic session. Answered a lot of my questions, but left me with a lot to think about after this. So great to see. We have about another 15 minutes if everybody wants to stay and network a little bit. We have some time for that. There's still some food, so please grab a bite to go. But thank you for attending, and I would just like to say thank you again to our speakers and MLT Higgins for hosting the session. Again, take a look at the view if you can before you guys leave. It's stunning. Beautiful boardroom, and yeah, thanks everyone. So just another round of applause for our speakers today. Thank you.